Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northern Nevada, where it is our mission to grow in love, faith, justice, and joy. My name is Gaia Brown. I'm honored to be your worship associate today. We meet on the ancestral lands of the Paiute, Shoshone, and Washoe tribes, who have stewarded this land for hundreds of years. We owe a profound debt to our indigenous neighbors, and with that in mind, I welcome you to this place. Whether you are here in the Great Room or on the Zoom airwaves, we welcome you regardless of racial identity, age, economic circumstances, immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, you name it. If this is your first time here or your 101st time here, we're glad you are here. Newcomers can sign up for the weekly newsletter that keeps us all informed of the many happenings at UUFNN. And if you miss doing that on the way in and you're comfortable doing so, then stop at the welcome table on the way out, fill out that form, or you might also find a form in the seat pocket in front of you to fill out. We ask that you respect all the wishes of those who continue to want a social distance and be intentional about honoring personal boundaries. Those of you on Zoom will remain muted during the service, but you can put your comments in the chat box and stay on the service following for coffee time conversations. So no matter who you are welcome here in this community. As usual, there are a few announcements. The Library Committee is sponsoring a book discussion group for the UUA Current Common Read. That's a read that people in Unitarian Universalist congregations throughout the country are encouraged to read. The book is Authentic Selves, Celebrating Trans and Non-Binary People and Their Families. And it will be meeting on Friday evenings throughout the month of March. Everyone is welcome. Bob Quilich, Bob, where are you? Bob Quilich in the back there is going to be in the gathering room after the service. You want to sign up. The Reno Posse was telling us for a while they had enough of their spaghetti kits. Now the freezer is empty. So there are, for people who don't know what the Posse is, this is our group that feeds our houseless neighbors or helps to feed them. So in our kitchen, which is in the back building there are kits you can pick up. You pick up a kit of the pantry items and then remember to take a pound of beef from the freezer there, put it together, and take it to the Reno Buddhist Center Wednesdays at 1:30. Wait, you can get more information from Pam afterwards. Hang on, let me give the bigger things. Anybody also, you are welcome. There's now a big white bin that's also right between the two doorways. There's a big white bin, and you can be putting like granola bars or energy bars and individual drinks, warm clothing and blankets in there, which will be picked up and taken to our houseless neighbors. And any other questions you might have, Pam is right here. After the service, you can chat with her. One more thing, this morning, following our service at about 11:40 or 10 minutes after the service, whichever comes first, there will be an opportunity to learn about the history of Unitarian Universalism and this fellowship. The session will be in the library, which is just kitty corner that way, in this building. And if you are first time, you're welcome to come. If you're new, you're welcome to come. We've had kind of a 5-year hiatus in these programmings that we're now calling Path to Belonging. So anyone who would like to find out about that history, you're welcome to join us at about 11:40 or so. And now it's going to be time to greet each other. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like shared during our service, there is a white form in the seat pocket in front of you, or get one from an usher. Fill it out. give it to me or Dave during the greeting time. Okay, those are the announcements. Now please take a few minutes to greet each other, and you'll hear the singing bowl. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Dave Bianchi, and I'm serving as a worship leader today. I'd like to open with the words of Dr. David Breeden, entitled Where Equity and Justice Transcends Mere Dreams. Welcome to this place where equity and justice transcend mere dreams, where there are the air we breathe. Enter this sanctuary, all who yearn for respite from a world rife with scarcity and inequity, rife with the relentless shackles of privilege and bias. Come, embrace this space, be embraced by this place, this refuge where scarcity and disparity dissolve into we together, crafting a place where the breath of life is equity and justice, cherished, manifested, sustained. I'd like Lois to join me in lighting the chalice as I say the words of Reverend Scott Taylor. May this flame cast its light towards better days, reminding us that the future is not simply a place we are going, but a place we are creating. The path of new possibilities will not be found, but made. The justice we long for does not sit at the end of the inevitable arc. It lies in the bending that is ours to do. A new world is waiting to be built. May our time together light the way. And we are going to get this lit.
And I'm not very good at this.
Well, while we're continuing to light, would you rise and join us, and let's join together in singing This Little Light of Mine, number 118. Well, this is the time in our service when we quiet ourselves for reflection, prayer, and meditation. We especially call out those who have shared their joys and concerns with us, either here on Zoom or quietly in your own minds and hearts. I have a point of sorrow from Wally and Kathleen, who were longtime residents of Alaska. So we hold in our hearts with them, Alaska natives and pilots killed in a crash on their way to Nome, and we're all grieving for them. So let's take a moment during this quiet time to make ourselves comfortable, maybe putting our feet on the floor and breathing in, breathing out. Maybe close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Breathing in, breathing out. As we continue to breathe in and out, let us go into our own thoughts. I close with these words from Philip Libanez for whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honorable, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things.
Our theme for this month is justice and equity. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm the worth and dignity of every person. For some people, being treated with that worth and dignity is a reality. But sometimes people aren't treated as worthy, and often the reason is they're different. Particularly, they're not white. If they're people of color, or if they're LGBTQ, maybe they have a disability. They're different in some way that might make some people think they don't have to treat that person fairly, that in fact, they can bully that person. We talk to kids about bullying, but you know, grown-ups can be bullies too. So last year, when my husband Lloyd and I were preparing to go to Poland with the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, and let me just break quickly. If you want to know what is the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, there are a number of brochures right around the corner there. Pick one up after the service. It's a group of UUs that works especially to make the world more just. And when preparing to go with this trip to Poland, we learned about being allies. About half the people preparing to go on the trip were white, and the other half, they were all Americans like us, but at some point their ancestors had come from Africa or India or Japan. Well, we learned that as much as people of color can be disrespected in the United States, it was much more possible to be disrespected in Poland. Poland has about the whitest population in the world. So we had some Zoom meetings about where, as white people in a separate Zoom meeting, we were told we might be called upon to be allies of the people in our group who were not white. What's an ally? Well, it's someone who sticks up for someone who's not being treated fairly. What might happen to call us to be allies when we were in Poland? Well, we couldn't know that ahead of time, but we should be prepared if the situation arose. So we all flew to Poland in individual planes, right? When we got there, we picked up our luggage at the carousel and met another person who'd been on our flight. She was part of the service committee too, and she was Japanese American. In fact, Lynn's family had been treated very unfairly during the Second World War, but that's another story. So the three of us had done all we needed to do to be in Poland legally, but as we were walking down this long hallway to get into the main lobby and exit, there was a room over to this side, and there was a security person, and he summoned Lynn as she was walking by, and he said, "I'm going to have to check your luggage again. I'm going to have to open it up and check it." And Lloyd and I stood there, and he said, "You two can go." And we kind of put ourselves in the doorway, and we smiled our best, friendliest smile and said, "Oh, no, we'll just wait here with our friend." And so, kind of scowling, the security guard just handed Lynn her luggage back without checking it, and off we went. Well, Lynn, it turns out, is an immigration lawyer. This situation really didn't fluster her. And also, as a Japanese American, he'd been through this sort of thing before. But it still had been very good training for Lloyd and me. Our trip continued with tours and talks and meetings, and I usually tried to be at these meetings so I could put myself close to where the speakers were, because even though I wear hearing aids, I often still have trouble understanding speech. It's an invisible disability. Some people know about it, some don't. Some know about it, just don't think about it, that I might maybe need some accommodation. Well, I arrived at one meeting. I was there on time, but everyone else had been there early, and there's a big conference table, and I see the speakers are kind of in the center of things, and I'm going to have to be at a far end. So I go and I sit down, but the person who's conducting the meeting, whom I barely knew, but she knew I had difficulty hearing. Maybe I had a look on my face, I don't know. Somehow, without making any fuss about it, without making me feel weird or whiny, I hadn't had to say a word, she got the seating rearranged so I was sitting right across from the speakers. It felt to me like I had been given a warm hug. It was so, nothing had been said really, but there it was. She had been an ally for someone with a disability. That was me. So who knows when in our lives we will need allies. We all can be allies. So speak up for people who are bullied. It's not okay to stand on the sidelines. Tune into people's needs, realizing that everyone is unique. There is so much going on around us that can make us feel powerless, but being an ally just might be your superpower.
Please rise in body and spirit and join us in singing hymn 298 in the Gray Book.
Well, I grew up on a farm just 60 miles east of here in Fallon. My dad's father had immigrated to Mason Valley in the early 1900s, which encompasses Smith Valley and Yarrington, from Lucca, Italy. And in fact, my dad did not speak English until he started attending school. When I was in the first grade, in the little cottage schools in Fallon, I was riding home on the bus, and one of the other boys turned to me and he called me a wop. I didn't know what that meant. But by the way he said it, I thought it was probably not a good thing, and it made me feel bad. So when I got home, I asked my dad, "What's a wop?" I don't remember his exact words, but it was something like, well, he was trying to insult you, but it doesn't mean anything, so just ignore him. Well, I found out later it meant without papers. Well, I still didn't quite understand what that was about. But I started hearing terms for other people like wetbacks, referring to mostly Mexicans who crossed the Rio Grande River. And again, the term didn't seem to be a friendly description. And of course, there were negative terms to describe black people. I had no way to totally understanding since I never saw a black person in Fallon. Only later in life did I realize that the city had an ordinance against blacks and Indians from being on the street after dark. Well, I was never around a black person until I went to college here at the University of Nevada in the early 60s. One day, a friend of mine approached me and said that we needed to boycott the Little Wall, which was a popular college hangout in downtown Reno. Not the little wall that's, sits up by the university now, but a little hole in the wall where the El Dorado Hotel is. I asked him why, and he said, well, there was a track star at the university who happened to be black, and they refused him service. And I asked, why? Why did they refuse him service? I just didn't understand. I was totally naive. So I started to be aware of injustices in the world. I've always, from a very young age, found I could get along with anyone and everyone if given the chance. So I started to notice that not everyone was on an equal footing in life. I started to pay more attention to the world around me, and little did I know that Nevada was known as the Mississippi of the West. I was starting to develop empathy for folks who did not have the privileges that I had. I was also unaware that women didn't have the same rights as men. I mean, I guess I should have realized it because when I was in college, men and women had different rules. Women were still treated as though they still needed to be parented while on campus with curfews and limited opportunities to participate in things like sports. When Lois and I started dating, I had to have her back to Manzanita Hall at the university by 10 o'clock on weekdays and 12 o'clock on weekends. Of course, at our age now, we have to be in bed by 9. But back then, that seemed outrageous. I was totally also naive about gay people. I paid no attention to the fact that they did not feel safe and had to often hide their identity as a gay person. Even early major celebrities like Liberace and Rock Hudson couldn't totally be open about their sexuality. Then in 1967, Lois and I joined this fellowship, the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northern Nevada. And we started to have our eyes open to not only the injustices that were occurring at the time, but here was a place where people were determined to do something about it. people like the late Jim Hulse, who would go out with Eddie Scott from the NAACP, and first Eddie would approach a rental place to see if there were any rentals available, and was told, no, they were full. But later, Jim, the white guy, he would approach the same place and be told, of course, we have plenty of rentals available. It turned out to be a very effective way to break down barriers and discrimination. So we were becoming more aware and realizing that there were avenues and ways to be involved and make a difference. We're becoming more enlightened and sensitive to injustices and conscious about racial injustice. Well, when I returned to Reno following a stint in the military in the early 70s, I was elected president of this fellowship. As a result, I attended a regional Unitarian Universalist meeting, and I clearly remember meeting several ministers who were openly gay and how proud everyone was that the barrier had finally been broken. And it amazes me that there's still several major denominations that are still fighting over this issue. Many of our strong fellowship leaders have been females. Imagine that. In fact, the first female ordained minister with consent of a congregation in the United States was a Universalist by the name of Olympia Brown in the 1860s. Well, because of my experience in the UUs and probably because of my independent-minded spouse, I became a champion of women's rights and trying to expand their influence and involvement in every aspect of life. During the late 1980s, because of some leadership positions I had, I worked hard to allow women to join the JCs, Toastmasters, yes. There used to be two organizations, Toastmasters and Toastmistresses, and the Rotary Club of Reno. It took a while, but Rotary International now has had two female international presidents. I was fortunate to be one of the founders and first presidents of the Boys Club. One of my goals was to make it a boys and girls club. It took a few years, but that's what it is today. None of these were easy battles, but now no one hardly remembers those days. So it's exciting to see events like the International Women's Day celebration taking place right here at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northern Nevada on March 8th. So watch for more details on that. And so it goes. I was excited to see the progress we were all making in all areas of social justice. Of course, there have been bumps on the way, but those bumps have now started turning into boulders and big walls as the far right has begun trying to turn people away from the progress by labeling those efforts as being, there it comes, woke, in a very disparaging way. At first I thought no one would take that seriously, but I was wrong. More and more political leaders started demeaning those of us like you and me who have worked so hard to make a difference in all people's lives. To me, the word woke simply means being awake, alive, in tune with what's really happening around us. It's so plain to see, I thought. The opposite of being woke, to me, is to be asleep in a stupor, therefore unable to see the light bulb of truth. I asked myself, how can they not clearly see and be sensitive to the systemic injustices and prejudices that still exist today? I finally realized that those who use woke or wokeism as an insult most likely probably do realize that, but they use it pejoratively to further their own political and cultural biases. So, what can we do about it? Well, first I say we keep on being woke. Someone from another denomination here in town once labeled us the Justice Church. I love that description, the Justice Church. Someone asked me what our belief system was, and I answered that we're more concerned with the here and now than the hereafter. So it's become even more imperative that we continue to support the causes and issues that cause us the most concern. That list seems to be growing, but we can't let down. Maybe pick up the most important issue for you personally. You know, it's not just us. We have allies. I think you talked about that, such as Faith in Action, a group that our fellowship helped start years ago when Reverend Neil Anderson was our minister. Faith in Action involves several different faith communities that focuses on racial justice, affordable housing, immigration justice, and other areas of concern. Our liaisons are Brad and Patty Hatchin. NAACP always needs more folks helping them. Lois's and my friends and neighbors, Don and Patty Gallimore, are currently heading up that organization, so if you need contact information, let us know. And of course, the ACLU, great organizations, but they're having a busy time right now fighting for civil liberties and civil rights. Many of us belong to Indivisible, an organization that was founded in 2016 after the first Trump election. If you haven't heard of Indivisible, you need to check it out because they offer solutions and are action-oriented. They help elect progressive candidates, they fight for progressive policies, and they hold our representatives accountable. Well, many of our members are also active with the Citizens Climate Lobby and our fellowship offshoot, the Greener Committee. We're doing a great job. Bill and others, thank you. Our very own Nancy Hart heads up the Nevada Coalition Against the Death Penalty. It's been a tough battle, but they have been making progress. It'll probably be a tougher battle in the next few years. I understand that. So I'm sure I'm leaving something out, but those are the ones Lois and I have affiliated with, or at least appreciate. Of course, as a guy already mentioned, there's the Unitarian Universalist Survey Committee, which can become even more important as funds are cut off for international programs. They also deal in international justice, migration issues, and human rights. So for more information, Guy is the one to talk to. So last Friday, Nathan sent out a list of social justice committees that our fellowship are involved with. So go back and check that out. It's a great list. It's also extremely important that we pay close attention to what's happening locally. As former Speaker of the House Tip O'Neill said, all politics are local. So we need to tune in to what's happening at our local libraries, what's happening on both the county and city governmental levels. The far right's been targeting all of these entities, usually with loud and obnoxious statements. But so far, they've been mostly unsuccessful. But the more progressive members need our support and help. So to be woke is my preference in life, and we must keep on doing what we do best by providing a space to gather and share our frustrations, but then start to take action. You know, Nathan shared with us last week that we don't have all the same personalities and inclinations, but that we all have some sort of strength that can help in the cause of affecting social change and resistance. So let us continue to march forward and let us not go back. At last Sunday night's Grammy Awards, singer Alicia Keys said this: "Being woke is not a threat, but a gift. Let us be the gift this movement needs." Blessed be, and amen.
The call of greed and complacency has rung its sullen bell, whose verve and energy will moot this mournful knell. And our frail web of life grows tattered more and more each day. Will someone seize the cause and halt the web's decay?
It's really fun getting old. I think I missed giving an announcement this morning, which is my announcement that I forgot to give. But I asked Dave, and neither of us can remember. But I don't think that I announced that after the service, and it will be like 11:35, let's say, those who would like to know more about Unitarian Universalist history and the history of this fellowship are welcome to join me, and I think Nathan's going to be there too, in the library, which is, I did tell you that, Caddy Corner. Now people, Caddy Corner, I remember. That's what I remember, the Caddy Corner, because the time before, I said kitty corner. The time before when I made an announcement and said Caddy Corner, people said, where are you from? All right. As members of UUFNN, we are the homeowners of this building, responsible for its mortgage and upkeep. We are the employers of the UUFNN staff. We are the keepers of the promise of UUFNN's mission. As received from this fellowship, so we give our financial support for its work within our community and for the work we do in the larger community. Each month, we share half of our plate offering with a local nonprofit. This month's recipient is the Cancer Community Clubhouse, which serves over 400 local cancer survivors along with their care partners and loved ones by providing evidence-informed programs aimed at improving their quality of life. Programs include mental health in English and Spanish, Cancer Fit, peer support groups, mindfulness, wellness practices, and educational workshops. They have a dedicated clubhouse space where they provide programming Monday through Saturday. So for those of us physically here in the room, we'll be passing the basket. For those on Zoom, you can make your offering virtually. The instructions are on your screen. Take advantage of the opportunity to support us. Would you please join Nancy and me in blessing our offerings here? For the work of this fellowship, which is helping more people grow in love, faith, justice, and joy, we dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings.
I'll extinguish the chalice with the words of Elizabeth Sella Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment that we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now, if you would rise as you're willing and able, and let's close with hymn number 348, Guide My Feet, and let's stay standing for the benedictions.
Guide my feet while I run this
If you're comfortable doing so, you can hold hands, or if you're not comfortable with that, put your hand over your heart. As I read the words of Reverend Audette Fulbright Fulson, we are not done. Do not think we are finished. Oh no, we will never be finished, never just done, until the light of justice is lit behind every eye. We have come to take back the world that is the inheritance of better children, better lovers, better days. Our worship is over. Let our service begin. So may it be. Amen.